Hello, everyone. This is basically a joint digital literacy lecture series, along with, I think, midweek exercises that are planned by Pudiodor. So this is a joint collaboration between two organizations, which I represent, and Pudiodor, which Nitya represents. Stands for Humanitarian Upliftment Mission. We are primarily based in the US, and we work with NGOs and students in India. And Pudiodor is based out of Chennai, and Nitya is the program coordinator. So this particular program is a digital literacy education for, at least the way I see it, for students and youths in urban and semi-urban environments. If we want to change this to suit rural people, we have to modify some things to suit the rural folks. So primarily it is for urban and semi-urban environment students and youth. So having said that, this whole lecture, I will walk you through a particular presentation. So all of the lectures may have some theory presentation in the beginning, and the second half, or maybe 15 to 30 minutes, will have a lot of practical work. We actually do things on the computer and show stuff. So having said that, let me get started. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So the teachers we already talked about, basically from our organization for the Monday lectures. My name is Sudhir, and I will be doing most of the lectures. But my team members, Ramya and Dhanashri, they may also teach a couple of sessions. We are still trying to work out which sessions they're going to teach. And then for the exercises, as Nitya mentioned, Pudiodor's teachers and volunteers will be helping. So the lecture topics are kind of over 10 to 12 weeks set out this way. Initially, like in today's lecture, we are going to study, understand computer basics and operation. Then we move on to how do computers talk to each other, right? Computers have to talk to each other. That's the way you have the internet. And then how do people talk to each other? People talking to each other, many of you know a lot of things already, like you already do WhatsApp. So we will focus on things that are not focused on WhatsApp, like other things like email. Then information storage and organization, where you have photos, you have different kinds of files, photos, videos, documents. How do you store it on your cell phone or your computer, or even on the internet, right? So what we call the cloud. Then of course you know about apps that you install on your mobile phone. So we are going to, in general, talk about applications in the computer world. Then we will do a deep dive into specific things, how to work with word processing documents. You can see there, many of you are familiar with Microsoft Word. There are other word processing applications as well, Google Docs. There are some free ones that come from open source. I will also tell you what open source is when we come to software applications. Of course, when we get to spreadsheets, there's Microsoft Excel, Google Docs again, Google Sheets. Then we move into presentation. What you're seeing on the screen today is a presentation created by something similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. So this is what you can create with the presentation software, what I'm showing you today. Then we go into, some of you may have done internet search. Maybe you searched for movies, maybe you searched for songs, or maybe you searched for classroom material, right? We will try to teach you actually how to do very effective search on internet and research. Okay, research means you're doing some college, you're in college, and maybe you don't want to go to college, but you want to do videography, right? You want to do wedding videos. How to do about it? What is the right camera to buy, right? All of that research you can do on the internet. Then, of course, there are a lot of online and digital opportunities. You could be selling products online. You could be buying from somebody, selling to somebody. You could be doing online payments. You could be doing mobile payments. Then there are online education opportunities as well. So we'll talk a little bit about it. The last topic is very important, even though it comes at the end. Security, how to make sure your information is not visible to everybody. For example, your bank account number, you do not want everybody to know it, right? So how to keep it safe, those are some of the kinds of things. And then some of the things you should not be doing on the internet. So moving on, so this basically the first lecture is, today's lecture is on computer basics. At the end of this lecture, we want you to, if somebody asks you, right, Nitya comes and asks you, what is a computer? You should be able to tell her, okay? Many of you already know how computers look, but we look at all the range of what are the different kinds of computers that are out there. We'll also look at what are all the computers used for. You know some of it already. Then we will understand terminology, right? Terminology means specific words. Words like computer is one word, then hardware is another word, right? What does hardware mean? What does software mean, right? Then I will talk to you a little bit about what are physical parts. Physical parts, things that you can touch. Logical parts are things you cannot touch, but they are actually built inside that way. So they are logically separated, right? So some of these concepts may be hard, but if you have questions, I can definitely talk you through it. Yeah. Also, you can run questions by Nitya, and there's a group, WhatsApp group also that Nitya has created. You can post questions there, and I'll be happy to respond as well. We will go into what is an operating system, what is a software application, then how is the computer organized on the inside, how do I turn it on. The second part is where I will show you literally how to turn on a computer, how to log in, and then after you log in, how does the desktop screen, the home screen, how does it look? How do you log out? How do you shut down? And then how do you reboot a computer? Reboot is like you turn on your power off your mobile phone and have it power back on immediately, right? That kind of feature is not there in the mobile phone, but for computers it is there. So here's how all the different ways a computer looks today, right? Your mobile phone is also a computer. It is one of the smallest computers, but it does a lot of things. You can do WhatsApp on it. You can talk to people, right? Some of you know how to use email on it. You can do internet search on it. You can listen to music. You can watch videos. You can play games. You can do so many things. It is one of the most fanciful, smallest computers that we carry in our pocket or in your purse, right? The next slightly bigger one, tablet, many of you may have already seen it. Basically, it will have almost the same kind of electronics, right? Electronics is what is on the inside of the computer, what we call electronics. Tablet will have pretty much the same kind of electronics like a mobile phone, but it will have a more powerful capability. It will have a larger screen, maybe 7 inches, maybe 10 inches, right? maybe even bigger than 10 inches, like 13 inches. Then many of you already know about laptops. You would have seen it either you would have seen a government provided laptop, or you will have seen a school, college provided laptop, or a laptop in your college lab perhaps. At the bottom left, you see what we call a desktop computer. Desktop is nothing but you have a table or a desk, and this computer is pretty big, so it needs to sit on a table or underneath the table. And it will have a big display monitor and a separate keyboard and mouse, right? On your mobile phone and tablet, you use your finger to actually pick letters, right? Whether you're writing in Tamil or English or Kannada, you use your finger to actually pick the letters. And you're picking the letters out of a virtual keyboard. Virtual means it is done by software. But here you will use a physical keyboard to type the letters because you have more room, you have more space, and you want to be faster in typing. Then the next machine you see, a computer, that is an office server. Server meaning it is bigger, fatter, faster, more powerful. Okay, that is all it means. It means that it can do more things. It is like if your mobile phone can, let's say, just do 2 miles per hour or whatever, running, right? Think of it as a runner. Then the office server can do 100 miles per hour, that kind of speed, right? So think of it as something faster, more powerful. At the bottom right is these kind of computers you do not see normally. Actually, 99.99% of the population will not see it. These are all computers the size of each, there will be 10 to 12 computers in each rack. Each rack is the size of a refrigerator, your fridge. Okay. If you have seen a refrigerator or a fridge, one rack will be as big as that or bigger than that. And within that rack, you can have 10 to 20 computers. And now imagine a room full of like 10 racks or 100 racks or 50 racks. Those are all the Google computers. Then you do internet search, all your Google search, all your search is going through these very big computers that Google is running either in India or in the US or in Europe. So now we come to the most interesting part of the computers. With the computer, you can perform a lot of activities, right? Today, with your mobile phone, you already are using a mobile phone, a camera to take pictures. You're using a mobile phone to talk to people. You're using it for doing WhatsApp. You're doing it for using sending email, receiving email. Some of you look at your classroom documents, PDF, right? You scan your homework and create a PDF. You're using your mobile phone for a lot of activities. I have shown you some activities here. They are not 100% complete, but they show what are the different things you can do, right? So think of each box here, right? Each orange colored box, square box here as basically one activity. And where can I do that activity, right? So for example, photography, videography, taking pictures and videos, I can do on a mobile phone. So I show mobile phone there. I can do it on a tablet which has a camera. So I show it there. I can use it. I can do it with a laptop which has a camera. So I can do it there too, right? Now we go to the bottom right corner, right? Bottom right. So bottom right corner are activities like programming, how to write software. Software is what runs on a computer, right? Those are things you cannot easily do on a mobile phone, right? So for that, you need more sophisticated computers like a laptop or a desktop. So the thing is, there are many things you can do on your mobile phone, but as you go into certain activities, like let's say you want to start recording videos, then you want to do document writing, right? At the bottom, document writing, or you want to do online product sales, or you want to do photo editing, video editing, then your mobile phone starts becoming a problem. You need a bigger computer, which is like a laptop or a desktop. So you're going into personal use mobile phone to more office like business like activities. So the moment you go into office business like activities, you need a laptop, you need a desktop, or you need an office server, those kind of things. So the key thing to understand here is computers are there everywhere. It is there in your mobile phone. It is there in a laptop. It is there in a tablet. It is there in a desktop. It will be there in a robot. If you see a robot in some restaurant, or if you see a robot somewhere in a factory, right? That will also have a computer in it. So the key thing to understand is computers can do a variety of activities, and desktops and laptops are the things you have to start learning how to use, because those activities can help you get jobs. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. No questions. Let's move on. So this is the last bit on the activities section. So now we are seeing the bigger, fatter server kind of computers. So when you want to run very, very sophisticated, sophisticated means very powerful, okay, powerful software, software that runs the internet, software that runs your Google search, software that runs Amazon's online store. For that, you need very powerful computers. These kind of computers are used for such activities. Now we come to the key question. Why are we in this lecture session? Why should we do digital literacy education, right? It is because of jobs, jobs, and jobs. In today's modern world, 21st century, right? Any office you go to, any kind of job you take up, whether you do, even if you do your own personal business, right, which could be photography, it could be videography, or you're actually selling, let's say, garments, saris. You can be buying saris from somebody and selling to somebody else. For all of that, you actually need to know how to use computers to make it a very effective business. Because in about 30-40 years ago, you could do a lot of things with actual photographs, hard copy photographs. Today, everything is done with digital media. So everything is electronic, everything is digital, everything is online. So even if you do microbiology, right, you're doing lab research, you will actually know, you will need to tabulate your data. All your data you collect in the lab, you have to put it in a computer. If you take pictures of things in your laboratory, you'll have to put it on the computer. If you are actually doing, let's say you work in a factory where you are actually assembling computers, or you're assembling some equipment like MRI for a hospital, right? Then there will be parts. The MRI may have like 100, 200 parts. The parts will all be what part to use where. If you are assembling, let's say you work for a factory where you are assembling an MRI machine, or even a car, right? A lot of the information is actually presented. What kind of part to use where is presented using computers and display screens. You have to use how to use it. You may have to use the keyboard. So the bottom line is you have to learn how to use computers. It's there everywhere. So now you can see if you know how to talk using your mobile phone, using your laptop, you can, or the desktop, you can do customer support jobs. you can do product sales jobs, right? Where you will have to communicate with people. If you do learn how to do photography, videography, recording, all of that, you can do jobs that require field video, audio, data collection, right? Maybe you work for an insurance company that will come to basically once there is an accident or something, that insurance agent has to come and actually take pictures of the car that is damaged, car or motorbike. That is a field job. In a field job, you take pictures. The first thing you do when you take a picture is you upload it onto a computer. So the job, those everywhere computers are involved. Then the last thing, there are a lot of office editing jobs. Then if you go into any place, whether you do research, you do analysis, you do administrative jobs, HR, human resources, right? You will have documents to look at. You have to know how to view documents on a computer. You will some of you will have to write documents, right? Supposing you learn how to train people, right? You have to write a training manual. Knowing how to write a training manual on a computer, that is very important. Now, if you are learning, if you know how computers work, how to shut it down, how to write small programs to power it on, to power it off, all of that, then you're getting into server management kind of jobs, server administration. Again, it involves a lot of jobs. Then if you learn how to do programming, you're getting into programming jobs that require you to use a computer to actually do the programming. So the next thing is what we learned in the previous slide was the activities for which you use a computer, right? There are also things you can learn how to build a computer itself, which means you can get a job where you are trying to put together a computer, right? A lot of assembly, mobile phone assembly happens in India today. Computer assembly happens in India today. So all the assembly things, if you know what are the different parts of a computer, you could be actually helping assemble these parts. You could also be figuring out how to repair and troubleshoot. Troubleshoot means repair, okay, for finding problems and where the problem is coming from, and then maybe repair. So there are a lot of those kind of jobs too. So we saw how a computer looked on the outside before, right? Now we are going to try to understand what are the different parts of a computer. What are the parts that you can touch? You can physically touch with your fingers, right? You know, at the top you have a display monitor, right? Which can be a display monitor or the laptop screen. It's the part you can touch, right? So that's a physical part. Then on the inside of a computer, you will have what is called as a microprocessor. It is also called Central Processing Unit or CPU. What the CPU is it is the brains of the computer. It is like the person that sits in the middle of the computer and is telling everybody what to do, right? And figuring out what to do. So it is the brains of the computer. Now, it needs some memory, right? Just like we need memory, our memory is in our brain. It needs its memory. Its brain can actually function, execute things, but it also needs separate memory. That separate memory, if it is memory that can live forever, forever means 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then we put it on something called storage or hard drive or semiconductor drive. It is called SSD. Okay. You don't need to know too many details right now, but if you have any questions, I can always get to you. There are different kinds of forever storage memory. You can call it hard drive, you can call it SSD drive, you can call it micro SD drive. In some future classes, I will show you what a micro SD card looks like. Micro SD card will be super small. You can actually, some of you might already know, it is something that you can stick inside some mobile phones to expand your memory. Okay. Today you can get micro SD cards with 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes. Now that is the memory that stays literally forever. If you switch off the computer, that memory is still there, right? If you save your photograph or if you save your file there, if you switch off the computer, that memory is still there. But there is another kind of memory that the computer uses when it is on. And that memory is called random access memory or RAM, okay? Random access memory is used only when the computer is running. It will actually take the software programs and data from the hard drive or any other forever memory, bring it into the RAM memory, and then it will work on it. So this memory is also part of what a computer is today. Then the next thing is, how do you input information or data into the computer? You always use a keyboard and mouse, which you are very familiar with, right? Any questions on the physical parts of a computer? Okay, moving on. So this is again, you can look at a computer as physical things, or you can look at a computer as something logical. Logical means we cannot see the separation, but the way it is built inside the computer by the people who build the computer, there's a logical separation, meaning you cannot touch and figure out, but you will know what I mean. For example, what I showed you in the previous slide was all hardware. The thing that you see in yellow here, it was all hardware. The display monitor, the hard drive, the central processing unit, the random access memory, the keyboard, stuff you can touch, right? Now there is something called the operating system software. What is the operating system software? The operating system software is actually a software program. I will explain to you what a software program is very soon, but for now, just assume it is a software program that you can put on a CD or a DVD, okay, or on a USB drive, pen drive, key drive, right? You can put software on it, that kind of software. It is a special kind of software, and those of you who use Android mobile phones, you know about Android, right? Android is an operating system, okay? Those of you who have seen a laptop computer before, it runs Windows. Windows is an operating system. So what does an operating system actually do? The thing is, when you have hardware in a computer, you cannot use the hardware directly. You need something else to actually connect you to the hardware. And that's something which understands the hardware, knows how to work with the hardware, is the operating system. The operating system knows how to make the hardware usable for us. Without the operating system, we cannot use the hardware. Okay? So it is the first layer of software that runs on hardware. You have different kinds of operating systems today. I already talked about Android, which runs on a majority of mobile phones in India. Then I've talked about Windows, which runs on a lot of laptop computers and desktop computers in India. Then Apple computer makes its own mobile phone, and its mobile phone runs an operating system called iOS. And they make their own laptops and desktops. Their laptops and desktops run an operating system called Mac OS. OS stands for operating system. Then in the software world, you get a lot of free software. This free software is called open source. Okay, open source is all free software. So there is a free operating system called Linux. Android is not free. Android is free if you actually get the software, but when you buy a mobile phone, you are paying for partly for the Android also. When you buy a laptop computer with Windows, you are paying for Windows license. Okay. When you're buying Apple phone or the Apple laptop, you are somehow paying for iOS and macOS. Linux is different. Linux is free. You can take any laptop that runs on Intel, like an Intel micro processor. You can run Linux on it today. You can buy a lot of different computer hardware and freely get Linux downloaded from the internet and run Linux. And Linux has hundreds of variants. Variants means um, each Linux is a different kind of Linux software. So I will not get into that because there are hundreds there. Now the blue box on the right is, now you have software which is the operating system, which will help you work with the hardware, right? But in order to do specific activities like photo editing or document writing or internet search, you need an application software. Application software is something that is suited for a particular activity or a particular application. So that is called an application software. So your photo app on your mobile phone, your camera app on your mobile phone, they're all particular software applications. Then Microsoft Word, Google Docs, they're all particular software applications. And all these software applications run on top of the operating system. The application software cannot directly run on the hardware. You have to have the operating system, and on top of the operating system, you have the application software. Now look at the lady on the left, right? She is sitting on at a desk with her keyboard, and she has a display monitor in front. How does the lady actually interact with all these layers in the computer? She uses the keyboard and the keyboard, mouse, and camera, and she can have a microphone also. That input, whenever she does something there, that input goes into the hardware, computer hardware. The computer hardware will send signals to the operating system. The operating system will process those signals and then send it to the application software. So if you're typing, for example, the name of a person in a document, all of that will eventually come to a document writing software in the application software space. And then next, it will be presented in the document, right? The name will appear. And that name, how it appears, the way it appears on the display, the operating system will figure out. Once it figures out, it will make sure it is written into display hardware, and the display hardware will show up on the display screen. That is the output. So music, for example, will come out of the speaker, right? All of the processing happens inside the computer, and it comes out of the speaker. So essentially, a computer has some inputs and it has some outputs. The inputs come through keyboard, mouse, camera, and microphone. The outputs will come through display, speaker. You can connect a printer to the computer. The output, so when you print some document, that is output. Okay. So the way to think of a computer is it does a lot of sophisticated processing of things. It can do different kinds of applications, any kind of application, almost any kind of application today. And the way we interact with the computer is using the keyboard, mouse, camera, microphone, and we use the display, speaker, and printer to get output from it. There are other ways to get output from it. For example, you can be sending email, right? From your computer, you send email to another computer, another person. That email is also output. But that goes on something what we call a network. Network we will discuss in the next lecture. So now I'm going to go into the actual switching on and switching off of computers. Before we go to that, any questions? Questions in English, questions in Tamil, Kannada? Okay, so moving on. For this, we will change the sharing. Okay. Nitya, can you see the computers, the inside of a
Yes.
computer?
Yes, I can see
Okay.
it.
All right. So now we are going to look at, so far we had only a presentation. Now we are going to look at the inside of a computer. Okay. So um, this is actually a tower computer. Okay. So you can see the whole thing. It's an old computer actually, about 20 years old. And this is a Sony computer. A long time back, you had a DVD drive that you could put DVDs in here. You had a CD drive, you could put CDs in here. And long time back, there was something called a floppy diskette. You could put a floppy diskette in here. And this here is the power button. All computers that are tower shaped like this, they all have a power on button that is almost always in the front. Okay. Now, the thing is, for these big computers, all of the connections will be in the back, right? These things you see here, these are all the different places where you can connect things. Today, you're already familiar with your micro USB power connection to your mobile phone. Micro USB is one particular small port, right? Then those of you that have used computers, laptops, you know a USB port, right? This is a USB port here. So these are all different kinds of ports. Some ports are very old, 20 years old. They're not used anymore. In the computer world, things keep changing all the time. So you have to keep updating yourself. So this is where the power connection goes. Typically, all bigger, fatter computers will have a 3-pin electrical power connection. Okay, and if it is in India, they're all 220 volts. If it's in the US, it will be 110 volts. Now, this is the
Sudhir,
inside.
sorry, your voice is breaking slightly. I don't know if it's the same for others. Not breaking, but like, yeah, it's coming in sort of waves. Is anybody else hearing it like that?
No. I use a Bluetooth one, but I'll try to get off Bluetooth. Hang on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. At least for me, it's much better
Okay.
now.
Okay, no, I was using a Bluetooth device and I think that battery started dying.
Okay.
Okay, good. So let me go back to sharing the screen. So if you see deep inside there, there's a big fat board here. It's all electronics. Okay, that thing is called a motherboard. The motherboard is basically all laptops and desktops like this will have one very big printed circuit board. It is called a PCB, printed circuit board, which will have the central processing unit, the microprocessor. It will have random access memory. It will have hardware to connect with keyboard, mouse. It will have hardware to connect with networks like the internet, Wi-Fi, and everything. It will have hardware to connect with hard drives, CD drives, DVD drives, and everything. So this is one of the older computers. So you can see it has a lot of connections there. We don't need to go into the details. If anybody is interested, I can definitely walk you through details another day. But see, this is yet another computer. Computers come in so many forms. This is a computer made by Apple. Today, you can get even smaller computers than this. This, for example, is also a computer. It is actually slightly bigger than a credit card. It is a complete computer. It can connect to keyboard, mouse. It can connect to networks. It can connect to a display. So now we have seen all the different kinds of computers, how a computer looks on the inside. So we are going to get into how to switch on a computer. So for that, we are going to use two different computers. Okay. One is the laptop here, which is a Dell laptop. I think it is it's a Lenovo laptop. We are going to use this laptop, and then we are going to use this one also to turn on and see how things come up, and we'll use this also. So we saw for a tower where the power on button is. For laptops, there is a separate different kind of power on button. And for laptops, many of them have at the bottom the right corner button here. Sometimes it will be like a key here. Some laptops will have a power button on this side. And quite often they will have a small symbol to show that it is the power button. But let's go ahead and press this. For many laptops, you have to press and hold for at least 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, so we press and hold. Now let that come on, and then I will do the same thing. This one has a power button on the back, so I'm going to actually press that for a few seconds. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, this is also going to come on. See, when a computer comes up, different things happen. It depends on what kind of operating system runs on it. Each operating system shows different things when it is coming up. This operating system shows a lot of other messages. Windows and all typically do not show a lot of message. This laptop here runs Windows. So now it has come up and it is showing something. Okay. Some of them play music too. For example, this came up now. It is showing some kind of, it played a music, right? Now the next thing that once you bring it up, this one, the Windows, for example, you will need to do a login. What is a login? Login is nothing but all these computers, right? Where in your mobile phone, you can set up security. You can set up like a passcode, 4-digit or 6-digit passcode to log in. That is nothing but basically like a password to log in. And these computers can have multiple users. If you're a family that is sharing a computer, you can have, let's say the family is Monica's family, right? Monica can have one account in her name, just like you have different email accounts. On the computer, you can have different accounts. One computer for Monica, one computer for her sister, one computer for her father, one account for her sister, one account for her father, like that. So when you're using your account, you have to log in using your username and your password. So here I'm going to click, okay. So that shows basically the name and then a place for entering the password. Here I'm going to basically show you the same effect of it. This operating system looks like basically it tries to pretend like it's a Windows kind of thing. It gives you the same look and feel. We are going to do a log out exercise and log back in. Okay, I don't know if there's if it's too bright. Okay. So I click on this person thing, and a password box appears. And what I do is enter the password. Once you enter the password, then you're logged in. Okay. So for this Windows also, it will be the same thing. I'm not going to try to log in on the Windows because it has an administrator password. And let me talk to you about administrator accounts. I told you that on a computer, laptop computer and desktop, you can have multiple accounts. One account typically or will almost always be the administrator account. Who is an administrator? The administrator is somebody who has a lot of permissions to do on the computer and to make changes on the computer, to install new software. Everybody cannot install software. Only the administrator can install software. So there will be a separate account. The very first account created on the Windows laptop or desktop will be that of an administrator. So that password, you have to, if you have created an administrator account, save the password somewhere. So now we have finished the activity of how to log in. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to log out. I hope this kind of looks, the camera is showing a lot of shine here. I don't know if you can see it deeply. What I will do is actually, when we do some sessions where I'm sharing the screen or these computers in later lectures, I will again run through how to do a logout. But let's do the best we can here. For logging out, you would go to the bottom left corner on any Windows. Okay, bottom left corner, if you click, there is a menu that pops up. In that menu that pops up, there will be either a logout option or a shutdown option or both. In this case, it is showing both logout and shutdown option. I'm just going to click on the logout option, and it gives me options for logging out, options for rebooting, options for shutdown. So I'll just do logout, and that will take us out of our account. Okay, so the name of the account here is Pi. Now I will log back in and show you how to do a shutdown. The same exercise another day we can do by trying to share the screen, which is kind of complicated with Zoom. Now we are logged back in. So we go back to the bottom left menu again. Menu, what is menu? Menu is nothing but if you go to a restaurant and order food, you get a list of options, right? Food options. That is a menu. Even in your operating system, what you see here is called the desktop. In your desktop, which is your home screen, you have different kinds of menus. Each menu will offer you some options, what kind of software you want to do, what kind of setting changes you can do. So for the shutdown, again, you have to actually go to this bottom left menu, and it gives you, you click on shutdown, it gives you, it will ask you, do you really want to shut down? You say yes, then it will shut down. So next what we'll do is reboot, restart the system, and then do a reboot. Okay, I'm restarting this system now. So all computers take a few minutes to come up. They take a few minutes to shut down. You should never power off the computer when the computer is running, because that will a lot of things. If you have created new documents, if you have created new photographs, videos, whatever, they will not get saved onto the hard drive. On top of that, your hard drive could get corrupted. It can go bad. So you should always do the shutdown sequence. Shutdown sequence, that means properly shutting it down. Properly shutting it down is telling the operating system to shut down on its own. Now we are going to do a reboot. What does reboot do? Reboot actually shuts it down and restarts it. So we now do a reboot. We go back to the same menu, look for the reboot option. Sometimes the reboot option is there in the shutdown option, or sometimes it is in the logout option. It depends on the computer. So once you start working with it, you start exploring, you will see what options are where. And sometimes the options change. From Windows version 8 to version 10, a lot of things change. Okay, so now we have finished the automatic reboot, not automatic, sorry, manual reboot. Reboot, shut it down, and then brought it back by itself. Okay, that is a frequent activity that also you do, that you need to do sometimes on computers, because some things are not working. Then you reboot to see if why it is not working. So now we have finished the exercise of the lecture and the different activities, shutdown, startup, login activities. So I'm opening this here for questions. So people have questions. I think this concludes the first session.